Brazil, the land of the Amazon, the rhythm of samba, the heart of South America. But before football and carnival, before the Republic and Revolution, there was a crown, a throne, and kings who dreamed of gold, glory, and empire. This is the epic story of the 10 greatest monarchs to ever rule over Brazil. Manuel I of Portugal reigned 1495 to 1521. The king of discovery. In the age of exploration, few names echo as powerfully as King Manuel I. It was under his reign that Pedro Alvarez Cabral discovered Brazil in 1500, claiming the lush, mysterious land for Portugal. Manuel didn't just claim it, he invested in it. He sent Jesuits to convert, administrators to govern, and settlers to exploit the New World. But his ambitions were bigger than Brazil. He ruled an empire that stretched from Lisbon to Goa to Macau, yet Brazil would be his longest-lasting legacy. The seeds he planted would bloom into one of the most important territories in Portuguese history. John III of Portugal reigned 1521 to 1557, the architect of colonial Brazil. Where Manuel dreamed, John III built. Known as the colonizer, he transformed Brazil from an outpost into a functioning colony. He divided the land into hereditary captaincies, imported sugarcane, and, darkly, began the mass importation of African slaves. He was the first to realize Brazil's economic potential. Under his rule, São Vicente and Bahia flourished. Jesuit missions spread through the jungle. Portuguese settlers dug deeper into the land. Brazil was no longer a distant possession. It was the heart of an empire. Sebastian the Farin of Portugal reigned 1557 to 1578, the young king and the lost hope. At just 14 years old, Sebastian the Farin inherited the crown, and with it, the dreams of a divine destiny. Though his reign over Brazil was distant, his policies impacted the colony deeply. He encouraged missionary work and native conversions, strengthening Portuguese control. But his death in a reckless crusade in Morocco created a power vacuum. With no heir, Portugal and Brazil fell into crisis. His death sparked a myth that he would return to save Portugal, a legend that haunted the empire for centuries. Philip II of Spain reigned over Portugal 1580 to 1598, the king who united Iberia. With Sebastian gone, Spain took over Portugal, and with it, Brazil. For the first time, Brazil was ruled by the Spanish crown. Philip II, already king of Spain, became king of Portugal in a personal union. His rule was marked by neglect, rebellion, and invasions by the Dutch. Brazil became a pawn in the wider struggle between empires. But it survived. And from this chaos, a Brazilian identity began to form. Not Spanish, not Portuguese, but something new, something defiant. John IV of Portugal reigned 1640 to 1656, the liberator. In 1640, the Portuguese Restoration War ended 60 years of Spanish domination. John IV reclaimed the throne, and Brazil with it. He reasserted control over the colony and repelled the Dutch who had seized parts of the Northeast. More than a king, he was a symbol. His reign marked the rebirth of Portuguese Brazil. He understood the importance of Brazil, not just as a colony, but as a future jewel in Portugal's crown. Queen Maria I of Portugal reigned 1777 to 1816. The Mad Queen who ruled an empire. Maria I was Brazil's queen during a time of immense change. She was the first undisputed female monarch of Portugal, ruling during the golden age of sugar and gold from Brazil. But her reign was also marked by mental illness, religious fervor, and tragedy. Under her, Brazil's economy boomed, but unrest simmered. She witnessed the first sparks of independence in the air. Though her mind deteriorated, her reign oversaw the rise of Rio de Janeiro as a global city. King João VI of Portugal and Brazil, reign 1816 to 1826. The monarch who fled to Brazil. When Napoleon invaded Portugal in 1807, João VI did the unthinkable. He fled across the Atlantic and made Rio de Janeiro the capital of the Portuguese Empire. For the first time, a European monarch ruled from the Americas. He transformed Brazil, he opened its ports, founded the Bank of Brazil, and elevated it to a co-equal kingdom in 1815. His rule marked Brazil's emergence as a global power, but the seeds of independence had been sown. Dom Pedro I of Brazil, reign 1822 to 1831, the founder of the empire. On September 7, 1822, Dom Pedro I declared Brazil's independence with a cry that would become legend: Independencia ou Morta, independence or death. He became the first emperor of Brazil, breaking away from his father, João II. Bold and charismatic, Pedro was a romantic hero. But his reign was rocky. He struggled with political unrest, accusations of authoritarianism, and conflict with the elite. Still, he gave Brazil its independence, a monarchy, and a national identity. Dom Pedro II of Brazil, reign 1831 to 1889, the philosopher king. Perhaps the greatest ruler in Brazilian history, Dom Pedro II ascended the throne at just 5 years old and reigned for nearly 60 years. He was a patron of the arts, sciences, and education. He abolished slavery, modernized Brazil, and kept the country stable during turbulent times. Wise, gentle, and beloved, Pedro II became a symbol of national unity. But in 1889, he was deposed in a sudden coup that ended the monarchy forever. Even in exile, Brazilians wept for him. Princess Isabel of Brazil, regent, 1871 to 1889, the abolitionist princess. Though never crowned, Princess Isabel ruled as regent during her father's absences. In 1888, she signed the Lei Áurea, the Golden Law, that abolished slavery in Brazil. It was a bold moral decision that cost the monarchy the support of the elite. Her act ended centuries of human suffering. It also hastened the fall of the monarchy. She was Brazil's last royal to hold power and its most courageous. From conquerors and colonizers to emperors and abolitionists, the crown of Brazil has rested on many heads, but only a few shaped the soul of a nation. These 10 rulers left legacies of power, pride, and pain. Their stories are not just Brazil's history, they are Brazil's identity. The echoes of their reigns still ripple through the forests, cities, and hearts of this vast and beautiful land.